All right, how's it going, everyone? Today we're going to try to make randomized fighters for the Fight and Flight Squadron. Mr. Skeleton asked, we'd like to have a multiplayer dogfight practice with some AI, but also we'd like to have some missions that have AI in them as well. Due to the time difference, we don't always have a lot of people playing on our server, so we'd like to have some AI. So I wrote down some of the key things that I'm taking away from this. One, the users, the players, they want to be able to have some sort of dogfighting practice. So we'll make something to allow them to have that sort of dogfighting practice. But I'd also like to be able to reuse this so they can be mission based, right? So we can have some fighters come in and attack and stuff like that. So what we want to do, I think, is we want to randomize the different types of fighter planes, but also allow the FF squadron to choose those fighter planes that are randomized. So we're going to make that available to them. We also want to randomize the altitude that these planes spawn in, so that every time they play that mission, whether it's multiplayer, co-op, whatever, it's always going to be the AI is always going to spawn at a different altitude. I also think that the location that these AI planes go to, we can randomize that as well. Now, I'm not 100% sure if we're going to be able to do this. Um, so we'll see. And then next, we want to randomize their start position. So meaning that not only are they going to have a different altitude, but maybe they come in from the south or the west or the north or the east or something like that, right? Based upon where the players are. And finally, I think maybe we might even randomize their start time. And what I mean by this is like maybe the players hit whatever event, and then we randomize the time that the patrol or this AI group spawns in and heads towards the players, right? So let's sort of get started with that and see where we can go with this. So the first thing I want to do is we're going to add in, and this is going to be a long video, I apologize, but the idea is that hopefully you can follow along, understand what I'm doing, and then recreate the same thing on your own. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to set them, even though this is probably going to be a multiplayer game, we're going to set it to a single player game. All right, and the reason being is so we can test it out and make sure everything works the way we want. We can position our player plane where we want and test things out. So the first thing we're going to do is go to planes here. We're just going to grab any plane. It doesn't matter. And actually, I don't know if I want it to be an IL-2. Maybe we'll do something a little bit faster, like maybe here we go, like a Dora. All right, we're just going to name this player plane, and we're going to make it a linked entity. And what that means is that we can do things with it, right? So here it is, and we can do things with it. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into the advanced properties. We're going to go to AI. We're going to change this to player, and now that means that this is a player plane. And for now, I'm going to make the player plane German, and we're going to make him in the air. And he is enabled, vulnerable. Actually, we're going to take off vulnerability so we can just do some testing. Again, this is just a player plane. We're also going to remove the limited ammo. And everything else looks okay. Next thing we're going to do is we'll hit OK there. And then next thing we're going to do is this Y value. We're going to change it to like at least 1,000 meters in the air. I'm not exactly sure how high it needs to be. And then our orientation is the orientation of our plane. So for now, since we're sort of on the southwest side of the map here, we're going to Z-axis is going to be 0. I'm sorry, X-axis is going to be 0. Z-axis is going to be 0. But Y-axis, we're going to turn him to the east. So we're going to do 90 degrees, right? 090 to the east. And now he's facing, our player plane is facing this way, so to speak. Okay, so that's set. We're good there. We'll go ahead and hit save. And if you haven't already saved your game, that's good. That's a good idea to always save as often as possible. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to add in, let's see, we want it to be dogfight based. So we're going to add in an input. So we're going to go to MCUs, and our input is going to be a timer. And what this timer is sort of like a gateway. So I'm going to rename it to gate. And what this does is says, some logic that comes in and hits this gate will activate it, right? All the things that are outside the gate. So what do I mean by that? So we'll say this is, actually we'll drag this over here into the black so you can really see it. All right, so we're going to say this is some logic or an event, right? And when it's connected to the gate, then the gate will fire off whatever stuff we have here, right? And in our case, it's going to be all the things I just listed, which are randomizing the planes, randomizing altitude, randomizing the patrol points, and so on and so forth, okay? All right, so let's see, what do we need? We have our gate. The next thing we need is to randomize the start time of our planes. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to groups here, and you probably don't have this, but that's okay. All you have to do is go to the official mission editor thread, and inside there is GMTM's groups, and one of those groups, inside that group is a four-way randomizer switch, this guy right here. All right, and this thing is glorious. Okay, it allows us to randomize basically whatever we want to randomize. And in our case, we're going to randomize planes, altitude, all this. So we're going to use this a lot. So what I'm going to do is it's a group right now, so I'm going to right click this group and I'm going to say ungroup it, okay? And we have this input, so we'll connect our gate to their in. And then we have 4 outputs, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. So remember I said I wanted to randomize the start time, so I'm going to go back to MCUs here. And I'm going to go back to our timer. And I'm going to grab one timer, and we'll say T, the first one will be T1 second, maybe the second one, and by the way, I'm doing Control C and Control V to copy and paste here. So the second one, maybe it's going to be like 30 seconds, okay? And then the third one, maybe we'll say it'll be 45 seconds, or maybe it'll be 1 minute, right? And then the last one will be 1:30. So they're all about half, 30 seconds or so apart. All right, so we need to go into the advanced properties, each one of these timers, and set the value that we just named them. So 1 second for that one. This one will be 30 seconds, and I'm double clicking them to get into the advanced properties. This is going to be 1 minute. And this last one will be 1 minute, 30 seconds. Okay, so then output 1 to timer 1, output 2 to timer 2, and so on and so forth. And now we've effectively randomized the time that the plane is going to spawn in, whatever plane it is, right? So the next thing we need to do is randomize the planes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this guy, and this, by the way, that's the 4-way timer, or 4-way randomizer, sorry, not timer, 4-way randomizer. And I'm going to connect it to this. And since the time is all going to be different, it doesn't matter. We can all go back to here, meaning that we're just adding a delay, randomized delay for whichever plane gets spawned in. All right, so now we have our new randomizer. This is going to be for the planes themselves. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to planes here, and I chose German for my player plane because I'm going to choose German planes initially here to, and we'll do some late war German planes. So we've got a 190, and the reason that is so that I can make sure they spawn in and they don't attack me and stuff like that. So let's see, I got a G2, maybe we'll do like a G6 late. Let's see, let's do 109s. Can we do a 110 maybe, or something like that? Let's see, what else can we do? Looking for late war plane. Late war enemy plane, actually, or German plane. I fly a lot of allies, so you'll have to forgive me. Here, we'll do an A5. That's fine, right? So 2 190s and 2 109s. So we'll do FW 190A5 for that one. And then this one is, what is this? This is the G6 late. Yeah, so BF 109 G6 late. And this one is our G2. We will change that from G2 to like G4. BF19 G4. And even still, that's going to be the weakest of all these planes. 190 D9. Okay, so all these planes are not active yet, so we're going to select them all. We're going to click Create Linked Entity, and now they're active. So we're going to go to all of them, and we're going to change their AI from, we'll leave it at normal, it's fine. We're going to disenable them, meaning that they're all not going to turn on. Only the one that we specify to turn on is going to turn on. Definitely going to be vulnerable, engageables for sure. They're going to start in the air. They have limited ammo. They're going to be German. Skins, we're going to leave alone. That's fine. Damage their soul. This all looks good. Yeah, we'll give them 100% fuel. That's fine. We'll hit OK. All right, so now we are going to connect this one. Oh no, we need to say which one spawns in. So we have the planes, but we need to say which one spawns in. So how do we do that? We need another MCU, and this one is going to be our spawner. So we need a spawner here, and spawner, and spawner, and spawner. However, I want to also randomize the start position as well. So I need to think about how I'm going to do this. So really what I want to have is I want to have four start positions for this particular plane, four start positions for this one, four random start positions for this one, and then four random start positions for this one, just like that. So what I need is we will pull this over to the right. We will grab our randomizer, and then we will 1, 2, 3, and 4. So basically what we're saying is if it's output 1, then it's going to spawn one of these it's going to spawn a Dora in one of these 4 locations. If it's output 2 from here, then it's going to spawn a G4 from one of these 4 locations. And if it's output 3, then it's going to spawn a G6 slate from one of these 4 locations. And finally, if it's output 4, then it'll spawn from these random locations. Okay, so now we just need to connect it up. So connection, and I am holding down Shift and T, Shift T for target to make these pulse type connections, or target links as they're called. And basically what we're saying is, randomly choose one of these planes, and then once you've selected that plane, randomly spawn it in one of these spawn locations. We'll do all these guys here. And we are at 12 minutes. 12 minutes, no big deal. Okay, so next, what do we need to do? Well, now we need to say spawn this in, and then once it's spawned in, do something. So what we'll do here, let's see if we can. Oh, you know what we should do is we'll save. So Control S to save if you haven't already, and then we will object link each of these trigger spawns to their respective plane. All right, and then like I said, once the plane spawns in, it needs to do something. If we look back at our notes here, we want to have a random patrol point, meaning that they move to a random location. Now, I'm not 100% sure if I wanted to do this, and I think in this case, I won't do it. But there are ways to actually randomize where they go to as well. So for now, we're just going to say, hey, go to, no matter where you spawn, go to that particular waypoint. So what we're going to do is we're going to go waypoint here. And what we'll do, so spawn in a random spot, and then they go to that particular waypoint based on that spot. So what we're going to do is grab these guys, and by the way, I went to MCU's waypoint, grabbed a waypoint. I'm just duplicating it over and over and over. And then we are going to object link the waypoints to their respective planes. All right, and then what that does is saying that object link spawn, meaning, hey, spawn in what? Spawn in this plane. And then our object link to our waypoint is saying, what plane needs to go here? What plane needs to go here? And that's this one, right? And so on and so forth, right? What plane needs to go here? Now, there's a couple things we need to still do. And the first thing we should do is we need to say, when you spawn in, so once this fires, right? And this is going to fire from this output, right? This output pulses It's going to send a message to this spawner. The spawner is going to pulse and say, okay, what am I spawning? Oh, I'm spawning this plane. So this plane will spawn in, but it doesn't know what to do yet. So we got to give it information and say, hey, go do things. So what we're going to do is right click this, with the plane selected, we're right clicking, get a context menu, and we got our object menu. We're going to go down to on spawned report, meaning that, hey, we spawned in, what do I do? So the first thing is saying, okay, which spawner? And in this case, it's going to be this one. And it's going to say, what do I have to do? And I'm going to say, go to this waypoint. And you notice as soon as I do, I get a nice little arrow pointing to what's going to happen, right? This blue arrow. All right, so we got to do this for all these spawners for this particular plane, and we got to do it for all the planes. So click here, and then it's going to go to that waypoint, and then we'll do it again. So right click our plane, spawn on this spawner to that guy. Right click one more time, and if it spawns here, it's going to go to that guy. So I guess technically it is still sort of random waypoint, but really what we could have done if we really wanted to be sneaky and have that random waypoint that I was talking about earlier is we'd have to do something like this, right? So it would go almost like this, and actually we can do it for this particular one. So I'm going to actually remove this waypoint, and you can see now I've lost that blue connection. So now if it spawns at this one, oops, we need to have the plane selected. If it spawns at that one, so we'll say on spawn report, and we'll say spawn at this one, and then send a message to there, right? So it's a little bit different. So when I get that message to that one, then it'll say, oh, you know, go here, go here, go here, or go here, right? And then these all need to be object linked to what? To this particular plane to say, hey, go to the plane, go there. And so that's how you sort of randomize it. Pretty interesting, right? So actually, just for consistency's sake, I'm going to remove all that again. I'm going to put this back, but just show you how it's done. All right, so we'll go back. Oh, need to have the plane selected. Right click, spawn report, this trigger, and that target. Looks good. Now we'll do the same thing for this guy. On spawned, this trigger, that waypoint. On spawn report, and so on and so forth. And I'm going to continue doing this. I'll pause the video now. We're at 17 minutes, and when we come back, we'll take a look at how to continue working this out.